Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We're learning Mishna Nedarim, Parak Ches, chapter 8. We began yesterday Mishna Zion, Mishna 7, and we'll quickly go through the beginning again because we'll need it for the continuation for the part that we need to learn today. So the Mishnah says, again, beginning from Mishna Zion, Ha'omer l'chaveroi, one who says to his friend, Kainam shani nenalach, a konam, that which I will have benefit from you. Again, this is an expression of a neder, a vow that he's not going to have benefit from. He's saying, I'm not going to have benefit from you. If you don't come and take for your son one core of wheat, and 2 barrels of wine. So we say that so right now he's saying to him, you got to come and take for your children 1 core of wheat and two barrels of wine, which sounds like that's what he has to do. But as we see, and when we learned the Mishnah yesterday, what he really means here is to honor this person with a gift, with a nice gift. It's really about the honor of the recipient. And he mentions for your children because it's a more honorable way of saying it to him. But he really means, it's really a focus on, he really means to honor the person himself that he's speaking to. So he says to the person, if you don't come and take this gift, then I make another not to benefit from you. So the Mishnah said, the person that he wants to give the gift to can actually annul the vow even without going to a sage to actually annul the vow, which is a typical way of doing that. Meaning he can basically free him from the neder. The Yoyim, and he says to him, the only reason you said this about giving that I have to come and take from my children this wheat and this wine is only for my honor. Vizeu kavedi. But in essence, the fact that if I don't take this gift, that is my honor. Because if I take the gift, it looks like I need the gift to support my children. And if I refuse the gift, then that means that I don't need it to support my children. So he says, basically, I know that it wasn't so much about supporting my children as much as honor to me. That was the real point of your neder. That's what you really mean in this vow. And therefore, I'm telling you, by not receiving it, the vow has been fulfilled. I've received my honor anyway. And once we see it that he has received his honor, then the point of the neder has been taken care of. The whole point was he wanted to honor him, and if he wouldn't take the honor, he would make a neder that not to benefit from him. And we say the person who he wants to give the gift to can say, "You did it for my honor. This is my honor. I'm receiving honor by not receiving it, and therefore your goal has been achieved, and there's no reason for the neder to take effect." So that was what we had yesterday. Now, so too someone says to his friend, Kainam sha'atonenali, a konam, meaning as a carbon, as a neder, a konam that you benefit from me, meaning what you benefit from me should be like a carbon, should be forbidden to have benefit from me. Im ein ataba, if you don't come, and give my son kur shal chitin, a core of chitin, which we said is a large amount. It's a volume of wheat. Ushtei chaviyah shel yayin, and 2 barrels of wine. So the case here now is, the case here is different. He's telling the person, you have to come and give my son these things. Yes, the case before was, you got to come and take it for your children. And now he's saying, you got to come and give it to my children. So he's basically making what he wanted to do now seemingly is benefit himself. That's what he wants to do, he wants to benefit himself. So now, Rabbi Meir Omer, Asarat Shayitain. Rabbi Meir says, then you know what? Until he actually comes and gives the core of chitin and the 2 barrels of wine to the person who demanded them, then the neder is going to take effect. The whole neder was that if you don't do this, that I won't have benefit from you. Well, until he actually does it, he's going to be forbidden, because that's actually going to be forbidden. Now, what we have to explain is, Reb Meir did not argue on the first case. When the person said that you should come and take for your children, Reb Meir didn't argue and say that he has to give it to the children, otherwise he has to come and take it for the children, otherwise nothing's going to come into effect. Didn't say that on the previous case. He only said it on this case. And the difference is, as I just mentioned before, in the previous case, he's saying that the neder will take effect if you don't come and take it for your children. All right, so he's trying to get a gift to somebody else. So we say he wasn't literal. He didn't really mean it that way. It was just about giving honor to the person that he wanted to give. He wanted to give to. But now, says Rameir, we're talking about the person is talking about for himself. He's saying there's a neder that I'm not going to benefit from you if you don't give my children the wheat and the wine. In that case, Rameir holds, and I'll read you here how they explain it in the bottom, but in the Mishna's second case, Rameir holds that no one would demand a gift for himself unless he truly wanted it. When you're talking about for yourself, right? When you're talking about for yourself, then at the end of the day, if you're talking about for yourself, then you mean it. You mean it. And therefore, thus we have no choice but to understand the neder according to its plain meaning. And if he does not actually receive the gift, the neder takes effect. The whole point of this Mishnah is to talk about where he says something and we are saying that halachically we do not take it literal. So in the first case, Reb Meir says, okay, we don't have to take it literal because we're talking about where he wants to give the gift to somebody else. But if you're talking about getting something for yourself, Reb Meir says a person would not demand the gift for himself unless he really wanted it, and therefore he means exactly what he says, and therefore Meir says that you have to do exactly what he says and give the kor chitin and 2 barrels of wine for his children, for my children, for the person who's making the neder. Otherwise, the neder will take effect, and that person who's demanding the gift will not be able to benefit from that person he's demanding the gift from. That's Reb Meir's opinion. But the Chachamim say, even in this case, the person who is being demanded the gift from would be able to annul the vow even without going to a sage. And the person will say to him, Hare ani kilo hiskabalti. Rather, the person who's going to annul the vow is going to be the person making the demands, right? That's the whole point. He made a demand that you should give for my children this. Otherwise, I'm going to forbid any kind of benefit that I can have from you. Means I'm not going to have anything to do with you. And we're saying now, the Chachamim say, that person who demanded, he can annul the vow even without going to a sage. Why? The Yarim Aloi, because he'll say to him, Hare ani kilo iskabalti. It's as if I have received it. The whole point was, I should receive this gift. And he's saying, I consider it as if I received it. And therefore, it's done. Now, let me read you how they explained it here. The first person wanted the gift for his own benefit. Meaning, according to the Chachamim, even though he mentioned for my son, and Reb Meir said that's literal, for me, for my son, it's basically the same thing. But according to the Chachamim, even though he said for my son, he's saying the first person wanted the gift for his own benefit, not for his son's. So that it would be easier for him to support his son. The whole point was saying, you got to bring this for my son, was really it's a gift for me, it's for my benefit, so it'll be easier for me to support my son. That's what he meant. So again, even though it's for himself, but the Chachamim say, we look at what his intent was. And his intent was that he should get this gift for his own benefit to make it easier to support his son. Since he now states that he does not need this help, if he says, it's as if I got it, you don't have to give it to me, it's as if I received it. That means he's saying, I don't need the help. And it's considered as if he received it, and thus the neder does not take effect. So according to the Reb Meir said that if you're talking about a gift for yourself, you mean it. You would never demand it unless you mean it. And the Chachamim say, no, it doesn't. You may demand it, and you don't have to exactly stick to the words themselves. Because the whole point of the gift was for the purpose of being able, I demanded it from you, this gift, and otherwise you don't give me the gift, I'm going to make my neder that I don't have benefit from you will take effect. The reason he made that, the whole point of that neder, the whole point of that declaration, was for the purposes of making it easier for him to support his son. If he now basically says, it's as if I got it. I don't need it, he's saying. I don't need it to support my son. I don't need it. Well, if you don't need it, then the point of then there's no reason for the neder to take effect. The whole point was to make it easier for him to support his son. He's basically by saying it's as if I received it. I don't need it to support my son. So there's no reason for the neder to go into effect. The neder was going into effect to make it easier to benefit his son. If he says he doesn't need the benefit, there's no reason for the neder to go into effect. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful Shabbos. Okay. To be continued.